This video will be a review of the adjectives unit that we've been studying in language arts. So adjectives are words that describe nouns or pronouns in sentences. They can be used in front of or after the words that they describe in the sentences. And adjectives tell three main questions: what kind, which one, or how many. So in the practice section, we're going to just look for adjectives in the sentences below. So let's take a look at number one. Encyclopedias have several volumes of books. So I see an adjective in this sentence, several, telling how many volumes of books it has, and it comes in front of the noun this time. Number two, one volume is the index which lists topics of information. The word one in number two is an adjective telling how many volumes, or even which volume this time, but mainly how many. And it's right in front of the noun volume again. Number three, the index will give important information for research. The word important is an adjective describing information this time, telling what kind of information. Number four, some articles in the encyclopedia have colorful pictures. This time we have two adjectives in number four: some, telling how many articles, and colorful, telling what kind of pictures for number four. So once in a while a sentence could have more than one adjective in the same sentence as well. Number five, the students used an electronic encyclopedia for their research. Electronic would describe the word encyclopedia this time, telling what kind of encyclopedia. Number six, this project was done very well by the talented students. The word this is an adjective telling which project. So words like this, that, these, and those are demonstrative adjectives telling which one. So be careful with those. Number six also had a word talented telling what kind of students that time. Number seven, those classes worked hard to prepare a detailed presentation. Those tells which classes again, which ones this time, demonstrative adjective. Detailed tells what kind of presentation for number seven. And number eight, numerous students collaborated to share the roles. The word numerous tells how many for students on number eight. So again, adjectives can come in front or after the nouns, usually in front for the most part, and we could have more than one adjective in the same sentence as well, adding description to our writing. Okay, let's take a look at the next part of the review. Comparing with adjectives. Comparative adjectives are used to compare two nouns or pronouns together, and they end in the ending er if it's a short adjective, or use more when they are several syllables in length. Superlative adjectives are used to compare one noun or pronoun with an entire group this time, and that would those adjectives would end in est if they're the shorter version, or use most when there are several syllables in length. So let's practice this part. Choose the correct adjective that compares from parentheses. Number one, salsa is hotter or hottest than ketchup. The word hotter fits best here because it's comparing salsa to ketchup, two items, er ending this time. Number two, blueberry cheesecake is sweeter or sweetest than pumpkin pie. Sweeter will fit best this time, comparing cheesecake to pumpkin pie. The word than also is a key word. Anytime you see than, 99% of the time, or 100% really, it's going to be a comparative adjective that's used because you're comparing two items. Number three, lemon meringue pie is the sweeter or sweetest of all. This time it's sweetest because it's comparing lemon meringue pie to all pies, est ending. Number four, this book is more interesting or most interesting than the other one. More interesting fits best here, again comparing one book to another book. Number five, steaks are often tougher or toughest than lamb chops. Tougher would fit best, again comparing steaks to lamb chops. Number six, fudge may be the chewier or chewiest candy. Chewiest would be best for number six, comparing fudge to all other candies. Number seven, that Italian pizza is bigger or biggest than this one. Bigger makes best sense this time, comparing one Italian pizza to another one. Number eight, which of the two cheeses is older or oldest? Oldest fits best in number eight, comparing the two cheeses this time. Number nine, this is the simpler or simplest recipe for tea cakes I have ever tried. Simplest would be the best answer that time, comparing one recipe to all the recipes tried in all time for that person. And 10, the colorful rainbow was the more beautiful or most beautiful in a long time. Most beautiful would be best for number 10. So comparative adjectives can be used to compare nouns and pronouns in a sentence. Again, ER for short adjectives comparing to, more for longer adjectives comparing to, and EST for short adjectives comparing one to a whole group, most for longer adjectives comparing one to a whole group. And the final review, we'll be looking at articles, two more parts to the articles that can be used before nouns, a, an, and the. The word a, use a before consonants or long u, use an before vowels, use the before particular nouns. So the practice section, choose the correct article from parentheses. Number 1, which of a or the products do you recycle? It would be the would be the best answer this time because it's a particular noun, products. Number 2, how much daily trash does a or an person throw away? It would be a this time for number 2, a person coming in front of the consonant P. Number 3, think of all the wrappers, boxes, a or the wrappers, boxes, cans you can use. The would be best in that list of items this time. Number 4, each person must make a or an effort to recycle. An fits best here, again in front of a vowel this time. Number 5, people should recycle a or the items they use. The would be best again in front of items. Number 6, what can a or an individual do to help reduce waste? It's an this time in front of the vowel I, individual. And 7, buy the or a products with less packaging. Buy the products with less packaging. Makes sense there. So articles are really their own part of speech used in front of nouns like adjectives. A, an, and the are the article words that we would use. And finally, the last part of the review will be the proper adjective section. These are adjectives that are used to indicate specific descriptions, and they are always capitalized. So the directions in this part underline the proper adjective or adjectives in each sentence. Number 1, Cuban music has an interesting sound. Cuban would be the proper adjective in number 1. We'll just look for proper adjectives in this part, even though there may be other adjectives in the sentence. So you can see that to make a proper adjective, you're typically changing a country to a culture. So the word, Cuba as a country could be Cuban as an adjective. Number 2, Spanish melodies are often used in Mexican music. So Spanish describes melodies, telling what kind of melodies, and Mexican describes music. Again, changing Spain to Spanish, Mexico to Mexican. Number 3, African rhythms can also be heard in some Caribbean songs. African would describe rhythms, Caribbean describes songs this time. You can see the capital letters as well in all these proper adjectives. Number 4, you may even hear a French melody. French would be the proper adjective describing melody. Number 5, many cultures have influenced Latin American music. Latin and American are both proper adjectives this time describing music, this in number 5. Number 6, the Japanese national anthem was the first anthem written. Japanese describes national anthem as a proper adjective. And finally, 7, one of the longest musical pieces is a German opera. German would describe opera for number 7. So we did see one that had 2 proper adjectives used to describe the same noun. That's possible. You could have 2 in the same sentence as well, like we saw in 2. But again, capital letters, usually changing a country to a culture to describe, telling what kind for all times with proper adjectives. So hopefully, again, this review is helpful in helping us to remember the key concepts on adjectives and to prepare for any assessments that we have on that unit.